Hi everyone, Dawn Damico here from yourresearchdiva.com, and I wanted to give you 3 quick writing tips on how to organize your research as you're going through and finding all the information to write your great book that you're working on. 3 different methods, and I've actually used all 3 of them, and you know, they all have their pluses and benefits, so you just have to kind of figure out which one works best for you and your personality. So we talked before about putting together an outline for your book, and some people are able to do a really general outline where they have a beginning, a middle, and the end, and they can just go and write off from that. Now what I usually do is I take it one step further. I start with that beginning, middle, and end, but then I start to kind of fill in the blanks and ask myself questions and look at different points or different subjects within my main subject that I know that my reader is going to want to learn about. So what I end up with is a really a little bit better framework. It ends up a lot of times being my table of contents. So I'll go through and I'll say, you know, if I'm writing a book on how to train a puppy, I'll go through and find maybe 12 points or 12 things that people want to learn about or discover when they get a new puppy in the house and want to train it. So the first method that you can use is actually one that I used way back in high school when I first fell in love with research. So I guess you can kind of blame my senior English teacher for this adventure that I've been on for all these years. But that's using index cards. And one thing you can do, and it's kind of fun, is you can use your colored index cards and actually make each subject a different color. And what you will do is, as you're doing your research and going through different books and stuff online and magazine articles and interviews or whatever, each subject has a different color, and you take your index card, and every time you have a note or whatever on that subject, you write it on the index card. And it's pretty much just one thought or one piece of information per index card. You don't want to put everything on one card. So what you will end up with is a bunch of index cards kind of broken down by its category or what will end up being your chapters, and you can organize all those. You'll have a stack of note cards for each thing, and then when you sit down to write your book, it makes it a lot easier because all your information is there. Now, 2 things: you want to be sure that you source everything that you all your research. So I usually have a stack that I'll use for my bibliographies as well. So I know where the source came from, what was it, who wrote it, you know, all that stuff you would need to reference. And then if you ever have to go back and either quote somebody or ask permission to reprint something, that information is there. So each of your note cards that has your specific thought or that one thought, it also tells you which source that came from. So it makes it really easy to go back and find those things if you need it. So that's the one thing. And the second thing is, like I said, when you go to write it, it's already there. And usually I will end up doing about, well, way more research than I actually need for the book. And what that does, it gives you options, because you know, that way, I mean, if you only do a little bit of research, kind of just skim the surface, then you don't have a lot to choose from. If you do a lot more research than you think that you need, then you can be very selective about which information actually makes it into your book. So that's one way. That's the note cards. The second thing that you can do is very similar. Now, these first 2 steps are really good for people that are tactile. They like to see, feel, and touch everything. And if you like, a lot of times when I write something down, it actually helps me to remember it a lot easier. I don't know, just the act of writing something, it kind of sticks in the brain a little bit better than just, for me, just seeing it. So the second method is the same idea as far as putting your ideas together, but instead of note cards you're using file folders. And I like the hanging file folders. And then each chapter of your book gets a label. And then as you're doing your research, or let's say you found a photograph, or you were reading a magazine article, you can take a copy of that. I like to scan those things in and, print them out if you can't, if the magazine is not yours. And then I'll take that information and just slip it into the hanging file folder. And then once again, when it's time for me to actually write the book, all the information for that specific chapter is in one place. It's easy to find, and I can just take the file folder out, go to the coffee shop, and start writing away. Now, the third method, and this one I use quite a bit as well, especially because of the amount of research that I do, is I put everything in electronic files. And again, a really good way to organize it, and you use, the way you set it up is very similar to how you set up your hanging file folders. So you would go, and I usually put it on my desktop. I'll have a folder for my book project, and when I open that main folder, I'll have several other folders, and each folder relates to a chapter in the book or a subject or a topic of my main topic. And then as I'm finding information, reading things and typing my notes on a Word document, I simply save that document. So I save as, and the location where I put that document is in one of those subfolders. And in that way, once again, all your research, all your notes for that particular chapter or that particular part of your main book, it's all in the same place, and it's really easy to find. And the other thing that's really cool about doing it in the electronic form is as you're writing, let's say you think, oh man, I wanted to write that thing on the Labrador Retrievers, but you want to find the document really quickly. Well, on your computer, when you do the search part on your computer, I'm not talking about search engine search, I'm talking about the one on your computer. You can type in Labrador Retriever, and it's going to go through all your documents and pull those that have that word in there. So that part is really cool, and that's helped me a lot when it's like, oh man, I know I did some research on this, where the heck is it? My computer helps me find it. So there's your 3 tips for kind of organizing your research as you get the backbone and kind of the foundation of your book together. Using the index cards, using hanging file folders, and then also collecting your data and putting it, saving it electronically on your computer. And once again, in whichever format works for you, you might use a hybrid and do a little bit of everything. That's fine. Just do what works best for you to capture that information, and be sure that you source out all your information. So if you have to go back and reread something, or do a quote or make reference or get permission, those resources are listed so you know where to go, and you don't have to waste a lot of time at the last minute scurrying around trying to figure these things out. So I hope that helps you. With a few writing tips. Again, this is Dawn Damico from yourresearchdiva.com. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.